there cannot be only, if animals have only perception. And then they are thinking in their own way, perhaps without the language. They are guided by hungers and thirst, appetites. They have only one program called the survival program. So they don't have the walk anyway. But human beings cannot perceive without chirping. Without chirping. They are all the time chirping silently. कुछ बोलते रहते हैं. When you say it loudly, then you say, तो पागल हो गए, अपने आप से बात कर रहे हैं. But otherwise, everybody is silently talking to himself. That means everybody is a silent pagal. हाँ जी, everybody is silent pagal जी. Silently everybody. And when the opportunity comes, they become noisy pagal. Yes. Therefore, सर्वाणि रूपाणि विचित्य धीरः नामानि कृत्वा अभिवदन् यदास्ते. सर्वाणि रूपाणि विचित्य धीरः नामानि कृत्वा अभिवदन् यदास्ते. That is the Purushokta Vakya. सर्वाणि रूपाणि विचित्य धीरः नामानि कृत्वा अभिवदन् यदास्ते. The truth is that which creates the forms and keeps seeing them and chirping their names. Even God cannot perceive without language. He perceives along with the language. That's why Abhidhanam and Abhideyam is the fundamental Gauna Ekatvam. Fundamental Gauna Ekatvam. Within that fundamental Gauna Ekatvam we have senses and objects. Topical, that's also Gauna Ekatvam. But then we don't have any Gauna Ekatvam. Every Gauna Ekatvam presupposes Mukhya Ekatvam. Senses and objects, thought and objects, memory and objects, Jiva and Jagat, Jiva and Ishvara, or all of them can be brought under one Abhidhana and all the describable and the description. Because the senses are describable, sense objects are describable, creation is describable, Ishvara is describable, and the language is description, Abhidhana. Om is the all-comprehensive name. Ishvara is the all-comprehensive Abhideyam. Ishvara is the all-comprehensive Abhideyam. Om is the all-comprehensive Abhidhana. Between Om and Ishvara there is Gauna Ekatvam. Between the Ishvara and Omkara there is Gauna Ekatvam. And behind it, Nirvisesham, that is Mukhya Ekatvam. It is the Nirvisesham that looks like Ishvara, the Abhideyam, and the whole language. It is the Nirvisesham that looks like Ishvara and Om. Now, even though we say all the Shabda Prapancha and Artha Prapancha have Gauna Ekatvam, Shabda Prapancha and Artha Prapancha have the same Adhisthana. Abhidhana Prapancha and Abhideya Prapancha. Shabda Prapancha and Artha Prapancha have the same Adhisthana. Without touching the Adhisthana, what is the relation? Gauna Ekatvam. Therefore you can't, every perception is followed by, is associated with Every perception is associated with I have an Ayurvedic showroom here, ji. So I have to just put my hand there and you always get something. Anti-allergy or anti-cough. ये माताजी लोग सब रखे हैं. Very difficult to get students like you, ji. Very caring people. Delhi people are very nice. Punjabis are all. I mean, students, once they have value for Vedanta, definitely they will always care for. Vedanta care for the one who teaches us. That care is rooted in the value. You value your parents, you care for them. You value a poor man's comfort, you care for him. You value your neighbor's mental peace. You value your neighbor's mental peace. You don't create problems. Caring means just thinking of the value. Hari Om Ji. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahana Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karvavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu Mahavidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavat Pada Shankaram Loka Shankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutra Bhashya Kritau Vande Tavo Punah. So, even though the truth cannot be conveyed through words, but it has to be conveyed only through the words. Words have become defective if I use them as descriptive. Words become handicapped. But words are used merely to correct my thinking. Even though we say it is meant to correct the error about the truth, it's meant to correct adhyasa, etc. It all means only correcting my thinking about myself. It doesn't correct myself. Shastram doesn't correct me, my being, my nature. It's always unlimited, but it only corrects my thinking, and that's all. What is education? Correcting thinking. In fact, the entire karma kanda is thinking, correcting thinking. Don't tell lies. What is it? By Swabhava, man tells lies, and the karma kanda comes and says, don't tell lies. We call it a mandate, contrary to Swabhava, but it's correction. And also when a person thinks, even if I tell a lie, it doesn't matter, I'm gone in this life, I am dead and gone, there is no problem, I am not going to suffer, etc. There also it corrects, no, you have punya or papa. This is all called, it is informative, but in that information there is correction. The entire Vedic approach is corrective of human thinking about his duties, corrective of his thinking about what is kartavyam, is akartavyam, and his laksham, his goal, Everything is corrective. The entire Veda is corrective. Because all that is information, what we call the Vidhi Mukha Vakyas. Don't tell lies. Don't. That means correct you. Speak truth. Its implication is don't tell lies. You don't have to speak the truth, but don't tell lies. You can keep quiet. The swabhava is always negative. Swabhavikam is always negative. Kama, krodha, lobha, moha, mada, matsarya. These are all impulses, negative impulses. These negative impulses are corrected by karmakanda. Karmakanda is corrective of human impulses. Karmakanda is corrective of human impulses. Of course, by giving them some information. Karmakanda gives some unknown information. When Karmakanda gives some unknown information, unknown to man, it corrects his impulses. Even the mandates are corrective. Vidhi. They are corrective of his actions. Karmakanda is corrective of his actions. Vedanta is corrective of his conclusion about himself, the truth. Therefore, words used as descriptive have defects, but words used as corrective have no defects. Tadevam pratyastamita sarva visesham avang manasa gocharam api sat idam paramartha tattvam swayam siddham. It is swayam siddham. It is pratyastamita sarva visesham, free from all the visesham. If it is qualified by even one characteristic, then it cannot be unlimited. It cannot be unlimited. Supposing the space has even one color, then it would not be unlimited. It will be a form. It has to be colorless to be unlimited. It has to be formless to be unlimited, physically even. It has to have no taste, no touch, no smell. How true it is, the source of the fire, the space is the immediate source of the fire element, but the creation, the fire can't burn the source. Because the fire, that heat is kalpita. The air, the creation, it is made of space, but it can't affect space. Fire is made of space, but it can't burn space. Water is made of space, topically. It can't drown it. Similarly, the weapons are made of the immediate material from which it is made is all the weapons. The space, but they can't cut it. And that makes the space unlimited, boundless physically. Meaning any attribute makes a thing limited. Attributes always, adjectives create physical attributes, biological or mental attributes. Any attribute makes it an object of thought. That makes it limited. An object. Supposing the whole space is blue, then it can't look like unlimited. It looks like another object. can't be unlimited. Because the sky is also blue, it looks as though it is a roof. If it is not blue, it can't look like a roof. Even horizons have something, they have to assume some color to look horizon. Otherwise, space as color-free, form-free, etc. cannot look like a horizon, cannot look like a roof. Think about this point. And therefore, Atma, if it has to be more, it has to be vaster than space, because space has its limitations spiritually. It can't extend to the deep sleep state. Space is boundless or unlimited. Space is boundless inside the waking state, but space doesn't extend to the dream state. Space can't extend to the deep sleep state. When there is no time, there is no space also. That means space is concomitant to time. Anyway, space doesn't extend to the deep sleep state. That means, in a way, it is limited also. Space is also limited. But Brahman is something vaster than, the self is something that is vaster than space. Because there is no place or state or thought where the self is not. There is a place where space is not. There is a state where the space is not. But there is no state where the self is not. There is no state. There is a time when the time is not. There is no time when the self is not. Therefore, that kind of absoluteness, the self enjoys this great vastness. It is not even vastness, it alone is. It's like silence. Ultimately, it means only to be. And that to convey it, they say just a dot. It is not spatial thing. To be. Dot is objectified. Choicelessly big. Therefore, Pratyastamita Sarva Visesham. Therefore, all these characteristics are not a part of the truth. Therefore, all our cravings are for the characteristics. Amazing thing. I seek my fullness, I seek my happiness in the characteristics. In greater forms, better sounds, better colors, better tastes, better touches, better smells, better pleasures, etc. Haji? Which one?
Same page, fourth line.
Up to the fourth line. Yada we have to Yada Puna.
Page line 4.
Acha, we have not yet come to here.
Yeah.
Yada punaha swarupameva nirdidikshitam. All the Vidhimukha Vakyas are given only from the Adhyaropa Drishti. Like Satyam, Jnanam, Vijnanam, Anandam, Sat, Brahma, Atma. All these positive terms are always used to describe the nature of the truth in relation to Jagat. As I said in the extra, in relation to my wife, I am a husband. Minus that relationship, I am not a husband. Bas. This is called in relation to something, what am I? That is called Vidhimukha Vakya. That is called Adhyaropa Drishti. In relation to my business, I am a businessman. Minus that business, from my own point of view, I am just a simple, silent, conscious being. When you are not a businessman, when you are not a husband, when you are minus all the roles, including this label that I am a human being, minus all the sociological roles, minus all the physical roles, physical labels, mental labels, when you go to sleep, you become free from all the labels that we carry in the creation. All those labels we become free from. Then what are we? That is Swarupa. Absolutely quiet. Therefore, I want you to understand what is Adhyaropa Drishti. Adhyaropa Drishti means describing the truth in relation to the universe. In relation to the universe, what is truth? It is the source of it. From its own point of view, it is not even a source. It alone is. It alone is. Like, in relation to my wife, I am a husband. From the body point of view, I am a man. From my own point of view, from the point of view of the conscious being, from my own point of view, I am non-dual. From Swarupa Drishtya, it is non-dual, please. Swarupa cannot be anything other than non-dual. Why? Because anything else then becomes a standpoint. If I see something, then I become the seer of it. I am a seer of the world, that is Adhyaropa Drishti. In relation to the form, I am the seer. In relation to the sound, I am the hearer. In relation to the taste, I am the taster, toucher, smeller. In relation to the memory, I am a rememberer. In relation to my wife, I am a husband. In relation to Delhi, I am a Delhi man. Like this, you can understand very easily. In relation to something, we are something. And we live in those labels. Whenever I look at myself, I carry only Adhyaropa Drishti. Swarupa Drishti I don't carry. Individual Adhyaropa Drishti. In relation to this body, I am a man, I am a human being. In relation to these forms, I am a seer, taster, toucher, smeller. In relation to the hunger, I am a hungry man. In relation to money, I am a moneyed man or a poor man. In relation to this house, I am a householder, etc., etc. Therefore, man only is chirping his Adhyaropita identity. He is only chirping. But when you think of yourself, the Swarupa means transcends the entire Adhyaropa Drishti. Swarupa transcends the entire Adhyaropa Drishti. It has to be non-dual. Swarupa cannot be Dvaita. Because anything else means I become the seer of it, or the source of it. That means a relationship. Any relationship is Adhyaropitam. And Swarupam is free from. It is only when you transcend relation that is Swarup. Therefore, every conscious being, every living being by Swarupam, he is non-dual. And man lives in his relationships. He lives in relationships, see. Relationships are Adhyaropa. Therefore, even though Satyam, Jnanam, etc., these are all used to describe Brahman from the Jagat Drishti, but Yada Punaha Swarupameva Nirdidikshata. When you have to convey the nature of the truth, its swarupam, tada then, ayameva abhyupaya. This alone is the upaya. This alone is the means. What is it, Yaduta? Prapta pratishedha dvarenaiva nirdesha. In fact, when the Swarupa is conveyed, it negates all the Adhyaropa. Vidimukha Vakya is negated. Pratishedha Mukha Vakya negates the Vidimukha Vakya. Its own Shastra negates its own stand. You see. To begin with, it says Brahman is the Jagat Karanam. So it is its own teaching. It is its own teaching. But in time, what happens? When the Swarupam is conveyed, it negates its own Vakyam. It negates its own Vakyam, saying it is not even Jagat Karanam. It is not really refuting itself. You understand? First it says it's Jagat Karanam, then it says it is free from Karya Karana Bhava. When it says, it is not that it is contradicting its prior statement. It is not refuting itself. It understands that the Karya Karana Bhava implies Nirvisesha. Karya Karana Bhava means the source of the creation from its own point of view has to be Nirvisesha. ये बात अगर आप लोग समझेंगे ना, any source of a creation from its own point of view is free from the creation. Water from its own point of view is free from the source-creation relationship. From the Taranga Drishti, it is the source. From its own Drishti, it's non-dual. In that example. From the table Drishti, the wood is the source. From its own Drishti, it is non-dual. There is no table. Similarly, Parameshwara is the source. From the Jagat Drishti, from its own Drishti, Nirvisesham, non-dual. Therefore, Karya Karana Bhava choicelessly leads to Pratishedha. Karya Karana Bhava leads to the negation of the Pratishedha Bhava. Negation of the Karya Karana Bhava. The source of a creation is not really cause of an effect. I am not saying it is a cause of an effect. It is a source of creation. Any source of creation. The wood is the source of the table, but from the wood point of view, the wood looks for the table, it can't find one. And even if people call the table a table, the wood the table, the wood understands, from the form point of view, I am table, from my own point of view, I alone am. From the form point of view, I am the source, I can be described as the source, there is no problem. But from my own point of view, I alone am. In this manner, from the Swarupa Drishti, always Advitiya. Therefore, if you look at the examples, if you use your common sense, Swarupam, the fundamental nature of an individual has to be non-dual. Why? Because even that idea that he is an individual is from the individual form point of view. That he is an individual is only from the point of view of the individual mind. There can be an individual form and an individual thought or individual mind, individual faculty, but not an individual conscious being. Even when we use the word an individual conscious being is not an individual, that is Swarupa. Our identity as a conscious being is not a standpoint, that is our nature. That's not a adhyaropadrishti, it's not an external standpoint. I am aware of the object, that relation, I am the seer of the object, that relationship is adhyaropadrishti. I am the seer of the world, is from the world point of view. I am the seer of the dream, is from the dream point of view. I am the seer of the waking, is from the waker point of view. I am the experiencer of the three states, is from the three states point of view. From one's own point of view, one is only Anubhava Swarupam. He is not the experiencer of something. He is like the sunlight as the illuminer of from the point of view of a form illumined, it is illuminer. From its own point of view, it is just light. Its own light, it's only light. There is also an example given. Light is only light, luminosity. Luminosity is the Swarupam, but in relation to the object, what does it become? Illuminer. You see, then it becomes a functional name. It is a functional name or a name that is a relative name, meaning in relation to something it gets a name. This is a name. That's called a name, please understand. That's called a name. Name that. The entire Adhyaropa Drishtiya, when you look at, you have so many names. I am a seer, hearer, experiencer, sufferer, enjoyer. These are all names common to all living beings. Then there are specific names. If you are a Devadatta, then it is your proper name. But all the other names are common names. Yes, these are all just. They are the names common to all living beings. Seer, hearer, taster, toucher, smeller. But wherever there is a role like this, there is a name, there is a description of one's existence in relation to something. But that description in relation to something resolves. Then what remains is only absolute. Therefore, the essence of our being is non-dual. Are you able to follow the essence of our being? Non-dual. That's why Bhashyakara says, Swarupam cannot be having any Dvaitam. Why? Because that's a contradiction. Because if there is Dvaitam, you see, if Swarupam also has a Dvaitam, then there would be no explanation. Swarupam becomes the explanation for everything. And if that Swarupam itself gets stuck with another thing, then what is the explanation for the other? If Swarupam implies the other, from Swarupa Drishtiya if there is other, then what is the explanation? Whereas the non-dual Swarupa is the explanation for the entire Dvaita. If the Swarupam itself has got another detail in it, then what is the explanation? Then I can't really take the help of another Swarupam, there is only one Swarupam. If what we call the absolute perfection also has a given imperfection, then what do you do? Then even the description that it is absolute perfection goes away. Therefore, our existence by nature, even a mosquito, when it transcends all its description, that I am a mosquito and seer, hearer, taster, toucher, smeller, and when it transcends human blood, etc., then it is non-dual. Thus, every living being is nirvishesham. And one nirvishesham looks many jivas from Adhyaropa Drishti, from the Avidya Drishti. Adhyaropa Drishti is taken by the Shruti. It is a Shruti's stand that there is a reality which is the source of the entire universe. If man says, I am a seer, hearer, taster, toucher, smeller, it is all avidya, of course, Adhyaropadishta. When we say Adhyaropa Apavada Nyaya, it is the method used, unfolded, it's meant to unfold the truth, the Atma, in relation to the Jagat, Bas, Khara. Now, we don't describe Bhagavan in relation to you, me, in relation to the tree, in relation to every given object. He says it is the Jagat Karana. Once we say Jagat, it includes everything. It is Jagat Karanam. As Jagat Karanam, what is it? Brahma, Satyam, Jnanam, Anandam, etc. All these words are only from Adhyaropadishti called Vidhimukha Vakya. But when you have to convey the Swarupam, the same Shastra negates its own Vidhimukha description, that it is not the source. It is free from Karya Karana Bhava. It is free from Karyam, it is free from being a Karyam, it is free from being a Karma. Neither it is a creation by something, nor it is the source of anything. It's like saying neither a mother of someone, nor the daughter of someone. Hare Rama. So the truth is neither the source of something, nor it is a creation in something. Neither it is Karanam, Apurvam, Anaparam, Anantaram, Abhahyam. Apurvam means it has no source. Anaparam, it has no creation. Neti neti iti asthulam. Asthulam means it is free from sthula, form. It is free from the gross. Ananu, it is free from the subtle, the mind. It is free from the body, the stula. It is free from the mind, the subtle. Akaraswam, and it is free from the short, haraswam. Means dimension. It is free from the haraswam. It is free from the dirgham. Meaning it is free from the grossness or subtlety or any small dimension or a big dimension. Alohitam, it is free from blood. It has no flesh and blood in it. Alohitam. Asneham, it is free from sneha, anything that is sticky, any adhesive. Achayam, it is free from darkness. Atamaha, it is free from, it doesn't cast any shadow on something. It's not, because it is not a form, it can't cast a shadow. Atamaha can be taken as free from darkness. Avayu, it is free from the air. You know, when we say it is free from the air, how it should be understood? It is neither it has the qualities of air, nor it is related to air, both. Neither it has the qualities of air, nor it has related to air, Vayu. Anakasham, it doesn't have the qualities of space, nor is it related to the space. If truth has to stand related to the space, then it has to stand related to the space as the source of it. But it's not the source also. So Prahalaya, previously you said, my dear scripture, you said Ishvara is the Jagat Karanam. Now you say he is not even the source. That means you are contradicting yourself. This is where the scholars who have no traditional understanding, they have no exposure to the traditional teaching, this Adhyaropa Apavada Nyaya is not known, then they interpret it as contradiction. They interpret it as contradiction. It's like saying, in relation to my wife, I am a husband. From my own point of view, I am not. It's not a contradiction. It's a great unfoldment. It is Adhyaropa Apavada Nyaya. Where there is Kalpana, where there is a Kalpana fact relation, follow this point very well. Just for 2 minutes, give your attention. Wherever there is Kalpana and fact relationship, Kalpana and fact and error. Kalpana means mental Kalpana. Rajju is the fact, Sarpa is the Kalpana. Wherever there is such a Kalpana problem, wherever there is a problem of fact and Kalpana, the method of unfolding the fact is, the method of correcting that Kalpana is Adhyaropa Apavada Nyaya. But when it comes to the noun adjective, this is not the method. You can't say tree is green from the green point of view and from its own point of view it is not green and all that you can't say, because minus the attributes it has no existence. Whereas minus Kalpana the fact has existence. So there is a difference between a noun is described in terms of its attributes. There is no Adhyaropa Apavada Nyaya. Adhyaropa Apavada Nyaya is there only where there is fact and Kalpana relationship. Satya Mithya Bhava. Wherever there is Kalpana. That your husband is a Kalpana, it is not a fact. Even though it is a fact empirically, say how can you say it is not a fact, etc. No, it's not a fact. You strike a relationship, husband is wife, but when you go to sleep, you leave it, it's a Kalpana. Like a dream, it's a Kalpana. Kalpana means it is not a part of your being. Your being a husband of somebody is not a part of your being. Even fatherness, no relationship is a part of our being. It's not possible that a relationship can be a part of our being, because our being is absolute. Our being is nirvisesha. Able to follow? Therefore, Adhyaropa Apavada method is followed only where there is Vastu Kalpana Bhava, the Satya Mithya Bhava. Where there is Visheshana Vishesha Bhava, there is no Adhyaropa Apavada Prakriya is followed only in a situation where there is Satya Mithya Bhava. And the whole life is Satya Mithya Bhava, understand? Even in day-to-day life we can see Satya Mithya Bhava. You are a father, that you are a father is a relationship, but from your own point of view you are not a father. Yes. Why? Because from your own point of view you are only a conscious being. Yes, you are a conscious being. With this understanding, you can still play the role of a father. You don't have to get scared. Oh my God, if I go to Vedanta, Swami says, you are not a father. हमारे बच्चों को क्या होगा फिर? That silliness you need not. Understand your glory and play the roles. Just you can always do a few duties with the clarity about them. I don't think really duties are facilitated only in total ignorance. In fact, duties done with great clarity about yourself, they are done much better. Duties are done much better if they are done in the light of great clarity about yourself. What is the clarity? That I have no duties really. Swarupam has no duties. Swarupam is full. Swarup means nirvishesham. What are the duties of a silenced being? A silent being, what duties he has got? Silence has no duties. Silence doesn't function. Sound can function. It can begin and end. That is its function. Sound can function. It can begin and end. But silence doesn't begin and end. Silence always. This manner. Therefore, Vayu Anakasham Asangam. Next is Asangam. The self is free from all sangha, means relationships. Sometimes you give individual words, then you give a comprehensive term. It's free from all relationships, sangha. Arasam, it is free from having the taste, or it is free from the sense of taste. Agandham, it is free from the sense of smell. Achakshushkam, it is free from the sense of seeing, sight. Ashrotra, why? Because it can see without the eyes. Conscious being illumines. Even a blind man is aware of the absence of eyes. But is that not sight there? So that is also sight, Ji. If you are aware of things, a blind man is aware of his blindness. He is aware of the fact that he has no eyes. That is also sight. The sight of the form alone is not the sight. The sight of even darkness is sight. When you are aware of darkness, that is also sight. There is knowledge. Sight means knowledge. When I open my eyes, I see the objects. When I close my eyes, I see the darkness. I am still aware. Even when I transcend the form, etc., even in deep sleep state, one experience. It is an anubhava involving dichotomy of relationship. It is an anubhava minus thought. It is an anubhava minus memory. Agandham, achakshushkam, ashrotram, it is free from the sense of hearing. Avak, see, this is all neti ke liye. Avak, it is free from the speech. Amanaha, it is free from the mind. Atejaskam, it is free from the physical light. Apranam, it is free from the breath. Amukham, it is free from face. Amatram, it is free from a given dimension. It is free from a given dimension, even a given dimension. Matra. In Hindi you say, itni matra hi hai. Itni matra means what? This much. That this much, a given size, that's called matra. Truth doesn't have a given size. It is amatram. Anantaram. And there is no something, there is no effect, there is nothing after it. It's not followed by the second. Number one, there is nothing else outside it, there is nothing else inside it. Acha, there is nothing else outside it. Why? Because there is no outside to it. There is no inside to it. It is. The seer has no inner islands. Like the sea has some islands. So within the sea there are islands. Outside the sea there are islands. There are continents. Outside the water there is earth. Bare earth. And inside the sea also there are islands. This is called, the sea has something else outside it, something else inside it. The sea water has something else outside it, something else inside it. But the truth doesn't have something else outside it or something else inside it. It alone is. Like in Sushupti, there is no outside to it. There is no inside to it. Therefore, it is at Anantaram Abahyam. It has no inside, and Abahyam it has no outside. There is nothing outside to it, there is nothing inside it, there is nothing outside to it, because there is nothing outside it, because there is nothing outside to it, Abhagyam. Did you follow this point? There is nothing outside it, because it doesn't have an outside. The unlimited doesn't have an outside. Physically speaking, this space has no outside. There can be outer space, not outside space. There can be outer space, not outside space. There can be outside the house because it is limited. Outside the country, it's limited. Outside the earth, outside the atmosphere, etc. But you can't have outside the physical space. It's difficult to think of. Within the waking state, think of something outside space. Our thinking faculty stops because it's not. If you try to think of the impossible, your mind stops. Therefore, if you are restless, then think of the impossible, you will become still. Hadi. If you are restless, then what should you do? Think of the impossible. When you think of the impossible, because you can't think, you will become still. Right. What is outside space? You can't think of outside space. When you can't think of outside space, you are still trying to think, but you can't think. Then what remains? Stillness. You will become quiet. This is also one of the methods to curtail restlessness. If you are intelligent, if you are bright, you can use this method. What is the outside infinite? Think of the outside infinite. Think of something outside infinity. You can't think of something outside infinite. You become quiet, still. Mentally you get stranded. Meaning you are tied down. Stranded means you get tied down. Just as you use your will to tie your mind down, even thinking about the impossible also ties your mind down. Think of the impossible. Outside space, you can't think, become quiet. Think of what is the function of silence. Think of deep sleep state, you become quiet. The best method. Think of deep sleep state, you become quiet. Because you can't, there is nothing to, it's freedom. Freedom from everything. You can't see something in it, hear something, there is nothing to remember, because it is just being quiet. You can't remember silence. Because silence is not an object of perception, it is also not an object of memory. In fact, when you say, oh, it was so quiet, etc., it's not that really you are remembering silence. In fact, you are only remembering the absence of noise. You are recollecting the absence of noise. And it should be understood, it is presence of silence. But if you say memory, what is it that I remember? I remember only the absence of sound. Recollect. And the tatparyam is I am only recollecting the presence of silence. It is a pratyabhijna. As memory it is absence of sound. As pratyabhijna it is presence of silence. Tatparyam is presence of silence. Presence of silence. I am remembering the absence of sound, meaning I am only recollecting the presence of silence. The tatparyam is presence of silence. Similarly, when you think of the deep sleep state, you can only think of the absence of this, absence of this. Thinking of the absence of something doesn't make you restless. In order to be made restless, I have to think of the attributes, desires. When you think of the deep sleep state which is free from all attributes,